Pledge allegiance.
With pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll call council, please.
Councilmember Garberding?
Here.
Councilmember Jones?
Here.
Councilmember Cave?
Here.
Councilmember Olivera? Councilmember Putnam?
Here.
Councilmember Staggers? Councilmember Walker? Excuse me?
Clock's not on.
The clock's not on. Is it plugged in?
It's done. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so are there any additions or changes to tonight's agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor of the agenda as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Next item on the agenda is audience comment. I have no forms. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to comment on anything not on the agenda? Okay. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is the mayor's report. I just have a couple brief little things, and one of them I want to share. It was a message that was sent to Jean from Marcos regarding the nationwide mail carrier food drive that took place on Saturday. Everybody got probably a little bag in your mailbox, the bill with food and put out. And one of the things that was shared in that email is there was 30,306 pounds of food that was collected by Auburn mail carriers that day, which is pretty darn awesome. And our Algona Pacific Food Pantry participates in that program. They partner up with the Auburn Food Bank as well as the Auburn Postal Carrier regarding the event. And Mark says usually what they do is they get a percentage based on the number of people that they served. Last year they get a percentage of what was collected gets donated to the Auburn Food Pantry, or Algona Pacific Food Pantry. And that usually runs 20 to 30%. So that's pretty significant. That's a nice donation or a nice little help to the people in our community. And he would like to thank those in our community as well as I do. And I'll read a quote that he had sent to Jean and said to share, so I'm sharing. That food comes at a great time as we gear up for the summer season. While more people are working, the opportunity to bridge the gap of difficult times continues. Thank you for being a great neighbor. So that came from Pastor Mark from New York. Anyways, and again, I want to thank everybody who participated. It was nice when I put mine out that I saw so many people down my road that had their bags out. One other thing that I wanted to share, I left some flyers out in the hallway so we can spread the word that the Veterans Resource Fair will be May 30th at the Tacoma Dome, and there's some flyers out there in the hall. So if you know any veterans that could use some help from these services, please send them down there. It's a really good event. It's being well advertised, and they get quite a few vendors, and there's some great opportunities for resources for our veterans. With that will end my report. We'll go ahead and move on to the city administrator's report.
If this gets too long, just cut me off. I don't know what I was writing today, but there's a lot. So union negotiation meetings will continue on May 28th. I have most likely the final PERC mediated meeting. Say that 3 times. It will go all day, and the mediator said it may go into the night if we don't get something resolved. What happens if the two sides don't come together? Then Paige, who's our mediator, will go take up our comparables. We'll bring them to the meeting, and she'll go to her supervisor, and he's the one that makes the decision whether or not we're going to go to arbitration. He can either say yes to go to arbitration or no, go back to the table and continue to hash it out. So I'll keep you obviously we're going to talk about that tonight in executive session and then after that meeting. The first negotiation meeting between the Public Works and Clerical Union occurred on April 30th. Lance, Jack, and I met with the union representatives and stewards. The union did present us with a proposal, and we still are going over it, though we will talk briefly about it tonight in executive session, but we got a lot of work to do. The proposed new sound recording system. We're still doing our due diligence, and we do have a plan on, this is going to be a June deal, I'm telling you, it will be. But I have a couple other contacts to contact with vendors. This year. 2016, right? No, I mean 15. Okay. Anyway, so it's going well. We still have some information and to gather, but we will have some information for you by the 28th technology meeting, and then we'll go from there to bring it to the council. Revise is the municipal website builder I think I told you about at our last meeting, and they'll be giving the mayor and the technology committee a presentation similar to the one they provided for the city clerk and myself about a month ago. It'll be tapered down so it's only 20 minutes or so, just to give them an idea what they can do for the city website. We are going to go out for an RFP this summer, and because there's two other vendors we want to get involved, we have to do an RFP for this service. So hopefully by the end of the summer or sooner, we'll have the plans for a new website. It takes about 12 to 15 weeks to build it, according to one vendor, so that would be targeting 3 or 4 months from hopefully August, so probably like October, November, somewhere in that area. Okay, let's see, the next one is, the last Wednesday, I attended the King County Police Chiefs Association Community Building Committee meeting. Say that real fast. I attended in Leanne's place, in the mayor's place, as she had prior obligations, and it was kind of an eye-opener for me. But it seems to me that the goal of the committee is to have a process that's defined that will lead to the healing and regaining of the public's trust. Because the one thing I got from the chiefs that were there, and John will speak to more of this later in his report, was that they realized that there's some trust to be gained back, and there's been some problems. And there were minority group leaders there as well. There was for African Americans, Muslims, Indians, and Native Americans. It was really eye-opening to hear their challenging relationships with the police in their areas. And what I appreciated about King County and the police chiefs that are there, and they were there for Mercer Island, Auburn, Algona, Federal Way, Seattle, Boston, Newcastle, and Pacific, was that they realized there's a problem nationally and they want to get out ahead of it before it really becomes a problem here. Although, if you look in Seattle, I think we see some of that happening. And they're generally concerned and they have their priorities right, but there's a lot to learn from the community. We saw some community representatives too. And it was really, it's got a long ways to go, as they said, but I like where they're going and how they're going about it. Finally, I'll be out of the office on May 20th, returning on June 1st. My wife is having knee surgery. She's getting a replacement knee, so I'll be her caregiver for about 2 weeks. And I will be attending the meeting on the 26th, and I'll be here all day on the 28th for the mediation. But otherwise, I'll be my wife's slave for a couple weeks. It won't be vacation, as I call it, these vacations, but I will be reachable by email and by the city cell phone. So, any questions? Or?
Thank you. Okay, courts, that we should have them. Community services, did not hear from Darcy.
See that?
Oh, that's right. Silly, I'm sorry. Okay, public works.
Would you like me to, oh, you got it?
The report from Lance. Lance had a family emergency, so that's why he's not here tonight. Remember that.
Okay, King County Flood Control District grant, regarding the King County Flood Control District grant, in discussion with King County Flood Control District staff, the proposed idea to study integration of recreational features into the levee was not grant eligible. Therefore, staff is exploring eligible projects and will bring a grant eligible project to council at the May 18th workshop. He also has an Fish County Regional Council and State Board. You want me to read those now?
Go ahead, and then I'll just mark them off of here.
Okay. Pierce County Regional Council. Staff was informed that contingency funding for the Stewart Road, Valentine to White River Bridge, or other transportation projects in the county was unlikely to occur, as Puget Sound Regional Council staff believed all projects would obligate with federal funding and thereby eliminating the need to seek contingency projects to award federal grants. PSRC will definitively inform us the first week of June if this is in fact the case or if there are contingency funds to award. And then for the skateboard, it says there's nothing to report.
So, obviously, not be able to answer any questions. So I tried. Okay, next we have community development.
Mayor, council members, just a few things for tonight. Number one, we have set interviews for the building inspector, code enforcement officer for this week. That's still on. Okay, great. We have 3 applicants. They are all qualified, and we have a series of questions and a chart for checking them out to apply a numerical score to whomever we think will be the best person that could fit in with the city and with the staff that we have here. So hopefully, keep your fingers crossed, we'll have somebody coming in fairly soon. Secondly, I'm working with the city attorney. We're putting together the notice of violation letters for the marijuana businesses. So that is in the works right now. But you know, I'll have to talk with Carol again. She was out with a sister last week, so it kind of held her up a little bit, but we'll get that worked out so we can start getting that process rolling. And I have a feeling it's going to be a laborious process with some of these businesses. Thirdly, I'll give the Planning Commission report now, since I always report on the Planning Commission anyhow. The next Planning Commission meeting will be coming up in roughly 2 weeks. At this meeting, we will be discussing more of the sign code revisions that are proposed. The biggest issue is the freeway sign district. I've talked with the attorney on that before the attorney. She had some changes to it. We'll be bringing it back to the Planning Commission for further comment and review. The Planning Commission had requested that the city set a little postcard to all affected property owners within the freeway sign district, so we're putting that together right now so we can send that out in advance of the meeting. So we'll see who shows up. Quite a few of the property owners are corporate owners with offices in Pennsylvania and Texas and so forth. So we'll see what we get. Other items we'll be looking at with the Planning Commission sign code is updated definitions. It's made added definitions to clarify some of the language. That's going to be coming out. And also, as I mentioned before, we'll be adopting or inserting in a new section dealing with legal non-conforming signs, since that was removed essentially when we adopted the non-conforming code chapter earlier, so we have to bring this back into the zoning code. So that's my report. Are there any questions? Okay.
Public safety.
Good evening. The monthly report, I reviewed that, and that's in your packet. So, are there any questions on the April activity? The applications for a police officer, we had experienced police officer, civil service calls that now, and that is the applicant has to only have graduated from the basic law enforcement academy. They don't need to be currently employed. And so I think Gail Bennett told me they received about 7 applications. She's got 5 applicants that are going to move on to the oral boards. And I know that there's a civil service meeting tomorrow night. I haven't seen the agenda, but I'll be there. I think it's to discuss the testing process And then the all boards, she told me they were on the 21st of May, I believe. So that process is moving along. And as Richard mentioned earlier, on May 6th, we had a meeting in Renton at their city hall, and having to do with the issue of public trust. And it was a good showing. Most chiefs brought a member from their community, and there was some good input. I was fortunate enough to have a citizen for Pacific that accompanied Richard and Lieutenant Massey and myself. And Miriam has been in Pacific 13 years. She's raised 5 children in our community, and she not only attended the meeting with us, she participated, and it was, I felt, was very beneficial. So Miriam, if you could come forward, please. I'd like to introduce Miriam to the council. Miriam Mayers, a member of our community, and she wanted to address the council briefly.
Hello, my name is Miriam Mayers, like he said. Well, I just wanted to say that I'm very happy, and I feel that there's a great progress, and just by the thought about getting better relationships between and getting to become a whole community, not just the police and state community, but we are a community, and that there is hope, because I know I was just telling him I have a sister. She used to live an hour, and I live in next to the park, and I say, come on, let's just have a barbecue, and we'll go to the park. No, I don't want to go to Pacific. You come to my house, you visit me, I don't want to visit. But not just Pacific, but, we know nationwide. And so I'm glad, I'm happy to know that there is something that wants to be done, and I think it's a great thing to do. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you so much for coming tonight. Thank you.
That's all I have to report. Or any questions?
Questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Okay, are there any reports from council members that is not regarding a committee? Councilmember Kay.
It's not one of our listed committees, but the waste, garbage committee.
Solid waste.
Solid waste committee. We've received RFPs back, and I believe every council member has been given a copy of the RFP. The committee wants to meet with Lance, who's going to talk the grading sheet to go through and score. We hope to have a recommendation by next week. Next week's a workshop, but we want to put on the docket that we have a special council meeting to vote on the actual contract provider that we want to go with for the city. So please go through your stuff, have questions ready so that we can try to answer them to the best of our ability next week, so that when we decide who we're going to go with, we can get this thing moving.
So is this the intent to have members from everyone that submitted an RFP here for council to ask questions if they have them, or? I don't know.
That wasn't the intent,
Okay.
that if they would like them here, we could definitely.
Well, I'm just curious if they have questions, are they to get them ahead of time to get those questions answered prior to?
I would like them to forward them to the committee members so that we
Okay.
can try to get answers for them that way.
Okay, that's what I wanted.
So that we can actually have a recommendation.
Perfect.